Greetings from Tokyo, my dear friends. This is Daisuke, and I hope all of you are doing very well today. I was very fortunate because I received a number of nice questions from viewers, so I'd like to take this opportunity, if I may, to address some of them and just let you know what I think. And as always, if you have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below here or in other videos. I will do my best to get back to you as soon as I can, and to the extent that I'm able to answer your question. Please understand, of course, that I'm not an expert or film critic, so I don't know. My knowledge of film is very, very limited, so I might not be able to answer everything or address every question or comment that I receive, but I will certainly do my best. Also, for those of you who are perhaps new to this channel, thank you very much for watching, and I encourage you, as always, please leave a comment if you haven't. I'd love to talk with you and to hear your thoughts, and perhaps you can share with me your favorite films or film recommendations. That's always something I'm so keen about, because it's a great way for me to learn about new films that I haven't seen, or to learn more about you and what you find interesting and engaging, and that, I think, says a lot about a person, about the kinds of films that he or she likes, and I think that's great. I think to find out why someone is engaging with a particular film, I think, is always a very fascinating discussion, and so I'm always very happy to hear your thoughts and comments. So I encourage you, if you haven't done so, please feel free to leave a comment, and I'd love to talk with you and discuss with you and to hear from you and to learn from you about this thing that we all love, which is cinema. I should say, however, just as a quick note, that I usually don't, I'm not able to respond immediately sometimes, and in particular over the weekends. Saturdays and Sundays are usually a little bit more limited for me than normal, so usually don't respond to comments over the weekend, although I do occasionally. But if I don't respond, it's probably because it's a Saturday or Sunday, or because I'm on maybe a holiday or something. But please understand that I will certainly address all the comments when I'm able to. And finally, if you feel like I haven't responded to your comment, that's probably because of one of a couple reasons. Either I've just accidentally glossed over it, maybe that's my fault, and I apologize for that. Or it could be because of the YouTube thing, because sometimes YouTube automatically takes a comment without me reading it and just puts it somewhere, and I can't find it or something like that. So sometimes it has to do with the YouTube program itself, and it's beyond my control. So if you feel like I've been ignoring a comment or question that you've asked, I apologize. It's certainly not my intent. So please, my intention, excuse me. So please, if you don't mind, just send it along to me again, and with a little note saying that you sent it before, and I'll certainly be sure to try to address it as soon as possible. So with that general comment, I'd like to address just a few questions that I received. So the first one I received was from our dear friend Isaac. Isaac is a really nice guy. He's a very friendly person, and very, very enthusiastic. I recall with fondness Isaac's discovery of the films of Yasujiro Ozu, right? So hello, Isaac. I hope you're doing well. And you asked a question which was, you asked a number of questions, but I'd like to talk about one in particular, because I think it's very it's something that I've been thinking about for a while now, which is so how does watching films in the Criterion collection affect your watching of films that are not in the Criterion Collection? So that was the question I received. And I think it's a great question. And I think if I could maybe put it in another way, it would probably be how I feel about the Criterion Collection versus how I feel about films that are not in the Criterion Collection. And this is a very, I think this is a great question, Isaac, fantastic question, and I'm so glad you asked it, because it really goes to the heart of what I have been thinking about, but maybe I've mentioned it in passing in a number of videos, but perhaps I haven't addressed it directly, and it's this. I am a great admirer. I'm a huge admirer. I really love the Criterion Collection and what it has to offer. I have a number of their titles, and I have a number of their laserdiscs, and I consume all things Criterion to the best of I'm able to, and I'm not ashamed of that. I think there is something to be said for this notion of brand loyalty in the context of capitalist consumerism, and those aren't. I don't think those are in any way bad things, and I think brand loyalty is something that is very important in any field of purchase and sale. So any market, consumer market. So. And that's true for home video, home media, DVDs and Blu-rays, and it's true for anything, streaming services, etc. So hardware and all that. So I know people are very, some people are very loyal to a certain brand or another brand, and I think that's fine. And the same is true for Criterion. So I really love Criterion. That being said, I am always conscious of and cognizant of the fact that Criterion is not the be-all, end-all of cinema. Because, this is because of certain truths of reality and physics. Right? Because there is only so much that Criterion can do with its resources, and its resources are finite and limited, so it can't basically do everything. But I think and so what that means, of course, is that it can only do so much with what it has, and it has a lot. Don't get me wrong; it has a very talented team, and it has a great reputation, and it has that great connection with Janus Films, of course. But just because, Criterion can't do it all, and I think even the people at Criterion would admit to that, because it can't do it all, because film is so vast, cinema is so vast for just one company to be able to tackle it all in a way that would be satisfying to a broad degree. So these are just the realities of economics, I think. So, and also speaking of economics, right? The idea is that there's nothing wrong with competition, right? So it's the idea that competition in the marketplace is to be supported and is to be lauded, and therefore it's to be fostered and to be encouraged. To have competition is better than to not have competition, because if we had a marketplace that was monopolized by one or two companies, then I think that would stifle the creative impulse in the end. And for companies like Criterion, I think the creative impulse primarily is the seeking out film and also presenting it in a way that is very filled with special features and in a way that is satisfying an experience as a home video watching or home media consumption experience. So having other companies, of course, non-Criterion companies like Arrow, Eureka, so having all these, and others, of course, like Kino Lorber, and some of the studio releases as well. So, I mean, that's just counting North America and Europe. There are, of course, other places here in Japan as well. So that is all to say that having many labels is very important. And in fact, there are so many labels. Criterion is just one of many, many Blu-ray labels. So I think, therefore, that Criterion is, for me, not the be-all, end-all. And I think having many other labels and companies out there to try to push the envelope to the extent that they can is very important, because that makes Criterion try to make sure it's on top of its game. Right? And also it covers those areas that Criterion, I think, is perhaps a little bit weak on. So so I think that's a very important thing. You and I have spoken about Criterion many times, and so I think you might already get a sense, or maybe you have a sense of the things that I think Criterion could do to improve. And so there are certain aspects of Criterion that I think are a little bit weak. So, and I think sometimes other labels address those issues in a little bit of a more satisfactory way. Arrow, for instance, does some really good things that sometimes tops Criterion's release. So I think, therefore, that we, or at least I, always have to keep in mind that Criterion it's not always perfect. And I'm not looking for it to be. I understand that it's just a company, and it's run by certain people who are very talented, but at the same time there's a limitation of resources, and also there's a limitation of what one can do, and that's simply because cinema is just too vast for one company to be able to tackle on its own. So with all that, I would say that it doesn't really affect me necessarily, in the sense that when I watch a Criterion release, how do I feel about a non-Criterion release? So I would say that generally speaking, it doesn't affect me. However, at the same time, I do feel a thrill, of course, when I hear about a title that has, for instance, heretofore been it's been a non-Criterion release, but then it's been announced that it's going to be coming to the Criterion collection. I, of course, feel this great thrill, because that suggests to me in my head that perhaps Criterion will be applying some kind of treatment to that particular title, which only Criterion can do. And that is why I have this great brand loyalty towards Criterion. But I think I would feel a same or similar thrill if I heard, for instance, that maybe a title that I really loved was being released by Arrow or Shout Factory or something. And that's because I have the same or similar expectations and wishes and thrills whenever I hear an announcement like that from Arrow or Indicator or something, 88 Films. And so it's the same thing. So it's not necessarily because of Criterion, or it's not exclusive to my views of Criterion, but this is also relevant to other labels that I'm very fond of. So so that's again more about the fact that there are a lot of exciting labels during this time. That's not necessarily exclusive to Criterion, although I do admit that it happens a lot. The frequency with which I feel that way towards Criterion is probably a bit higher than it is with others. And that's just because I'm very much a fan of Criterion and I follow it a lot. So I hope that goes towards addressing your question, Isaac. I think it was a great one.